Here we have a 5-gallon tank. First we will start by positioning our water filter where we want it to go. We want to cover it up, so we will be using 2 pieces of plastic, one for the front and one for the back. Once I position them how they should go, I will then glue them together. With the 2 pieces now glued together, you can see at the end here I left a small gap because here's where the water will be flowing out to. Now to cut off this extra piece and glue it down onto itself. This little section here will act as a platform for some rocks. Now for this next step, we will be gluing some filter mesh onto the actual base itself. The reason for this is because we will be gluing the rocks onto the mesh, and it will also help hide the white color from the base. First, let's add a few rocks to the top part, and then add some to the front part as well. Once that's done, we will now begin building our second portion of our rock wall. For this, I will stack and glue several rocks on top of each other until I form what looks like a mini tower. I will then place it next to our base and continue to add rocks onto it until it looks like one solid piece. With our 2 pieces complete, we will now begin to prep them and fill in the cracks. And for that, we will be using some black expanding foam. I found that spray foam doesn't stick to these bubble wrap packing sheets, so this is where we will be prepping our first section of wall. We want to make sure we spray into every crack in between the rocks, and then give it some time to expand and dry. Once that's done, let's go ahead and do the same to our other piece. As you can see here, even though they're glued down, one rock managed to fall off. So that's another reason we want to stick them together using some foam. So again, let's go ahead and spray in the cracks. However, since this is the front side, I don't want it to expand so much, so I will be removing it little by little using a stick. I will also be adding on some bits of crushed up rock onto the foam as it's drying. So let's go ahead and take this piece outside to finish drying and work on our first one. Now as you can see here, the foam did a good job of covering up all the cracks. So let's go ahead and pick out the extra pieces from the front. And then begin carving out the backside. Now to show you what that looks like once it's done. Now that our two pieces are complete, we will now unite them together using some more black spray foam. And again, pick out any of the extra using a stick and filling in the gaps with a few little pieces of rock as it dries. And there we have it, we now have one solid piece. Now to carve out one of the ends flat, because this is where our water will flow out to. We are now ready to place this inside our tank. First I'll spray a little bit of water onto the bottom of our tank to help the suction cups from our filter stick to the bottom. And then we will place our structure right on top of it. Now we want little to no sand to get into our little section here, so using a little piece of weed barrier, we will glue this onto our section here in the back, and once that's done, we will now begin placing in the sand. As you can see, if I place it in dry, it starts to make sort of a cloud, so I will be adding it in wet. Now to add some distilled water on top of it to help flatten it down, and then add more sand on top of that. Now the water I will be using for this enclosure is this pre-mixed hermit crab water, which is basically salt water. So after adding in a few bottles worth of water, we can go ahead and turn on our filter. Now let's add in a plant to slow down the current a bit, and let's place some rocks on top of the filter entrance. Now as for our little sand area, I went out and got these cool little miniature palm trees and shrubs. So let's place them in the sand and in between the rocks if we can. Now, although I'm using fake plants, about the only real plant that I can use for an environment like this is this little air plant. So let's go ahead and add this to the corner over here on top of our rocks. I will also be adding in this cool pitted rock I found at the beach. Now time to add in our little friend so that he can explore and begin getting used to his new home. As you can see, I later on added a few more details to the environment, and even adding in a few more later on. Our little friend here is known as a white ghost crab. So the story behind this little guy is when I went to the beach this summer, I saw a guy fishing using a bunch of these little crabs as bait, and I was able to convince him to sell me one for $1. And instead of letting him go and risk him being caught again, I decided to take him home and build him a nice little habitat where he no longer has to worry about being anybody's lunch. As you can see, once we place him in, he pretty much instantly starts looking for a place to hide. These guys tend to bury themselves in the sand, so let's give him a few hours of peace and we will come back later to see how he's doing. After a while, you can see that the water has set and is now nice and clear. Like I said before, I did end up adding a few more things and moving things around, and it seems like he did a bit of rearranging himself. He has since then dug some holes into the sand, and this is where he lives and hides in. He just went into this hole, so let's see if we can't tap him out a bit. Or maybe we can coax him out by throwing in a little bit of sand down the hole. Nope, I guess not. He's nocturnal, so he mostly tends to come out at night. But I will keep you guys updated on how he's doing, either through some YouTube shorts or when it's time to build him a new home, because he will grow out of this one eventually. But anyway, if you were planning on making a home similar to this, I hope this video helped. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe for more habitat builds and animal related content. As always, this has been Reptile and More, and I will see you guys on the next one.